Let's go to Jermain Franklin now from the TSN SportsCentre desk. Well, from his home, but that's what he's doing now. Frankie, good day. Happy Tuesday. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Great to see you, Rod.
It is great to see you as always. And I have to say, you really look to be loving this latest chapter of your life and anchoring SportsCentre. We all know what the previous chapter was. Has this been a great move for you, going to Toronto?
Yeah, absolutely. It's what I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to be on the desk since I was a teenager. And of course, you always dream of doing play-by-play as well. But that's later down the road, hopefully. I got to convince a few people to give me a shot at that as well. But this is exactly where I wanted to be. I don't want to say that I'm like, I don't want to act like I don't miss Calgary, because I do. I am an Ontario boy, but the West, I certainly have become a Western man since most of my adulthood was spent in Calgary. Both my kids were born there, but career-wise, there's no better place to be than on the desk for me right now with TSN, the best to ever do it.
Well, you always have home out here, as you know, and some of your best friends, of course, are out here. But I got to say this, man. You've got that depth of knowledge of Canadian sports fans. And here's why I say this. I'm watching SportsCentre this morning. We're like 25 minutes in, no Golden Knights highlights. 35 minutes in, no Golden Knights highlights. Because I watch on my stationary bike. They started NHL, then NBA, then NFL, then Martin Luther King. And I was like, hey, where's the Golden Knights highlights? You guys must put up with what people want all across the country, is my point. Everybody wants something else, right?
Oh, absolutely. And trust me, they're putting up with me now, because I walk into the newsroom / studio, and I'm like, why aren't the Flames leading? Like, let's go. Enough is enough. And it's always a tug of war and trying to figure out what's going to go first or who's going to go first. I shouldn't say it's a tug of war. We all know, unfortunately or fortunately for Leaf fans, because they are across the nation, the Leafs are always going to come up first. The NFL has turned into a big dog as well, so we lead with them a lot. But those, like you said, the Vegas games, even San Jose's terrible now, but even when you think about the West Coast games that start late, we don't see them as much. But trust me, for everybody who's out there wondering, that we are fighting. We are fighting for the West to get on the show a little bit more, and in some cases, you'll see it because we fought so hard for it.
Well, thankfully, it is an hour, because eventually you're going to get around to those. Eventually you get to everything. It's just the order, right? And here's the other thing, because I know you're a huge NBA guy. We were having a little bit of a discussion earlier. Darren printed me off a Raptors program, because I don't know who these guys are, Frankie, that I'm watching in the highlight. I don't know who they are. So I'm like, should we just be happy that they won a championship a couple of years ago, and it might be another 25 years? Or are my expectations so low? Should they be a front runner in the NBA right now?
No, they shouldn't be a front runner, but they certainly should be. It's tough when you think about contender, because you always think they'll have a chance to win when you mention contender. So let's say the Raptors definitely should be a playoff team. They should make a little bit of noise. If they come together the way that we believe that they can, maybe they'll win a first round, probably not a second. But that's okay, because if you follow the Raptors a little bit, although their plans probably have changed since Antetokounmpo did sign a long-term deal with the Milwaukee Bucks, the Raptors saved a lot of their dough for this upcoming free agent class. Now, Antetokounmpo was to be the guy that they go for the most, but that doesn't look like it's going to happen. So we'll see what the Raptors' plan is. We just saw James Harden move from Houston, get traded to Brooklyn. Now Brooklyn is the favorite, I'd have to say, in the East to go to the NBA Finals. Of course, the Milwaukee Bucks would have something to say for that. But when you consider the Raptors, the reason why I mentioned that, you said we could be happy with the championship they won a couple of years ago. Let's remember how that happened. It came out of the blue. Kawhi Leonard refused to go back to the San Antonio Spurs, said he wasn't going to play. Somehow Masai Ujiri worked his magic and did trade DeRozan, who was he was the heart of the Raptors basketball team along with Kyle Lowry, but they traded DeRozan and they got Kawhi Leonard, and then they won the championship. And that is very possible that that's going to happen with Brooklyn. Now that they're healthy, when Kyrie Irving comes back, they could possibly win a championship because they got a disgruntled James Harden, and they already have Durant and Kyrie Irving. So the Raptors, perhaps down the road, they're going to find a disgruntled superstar who's ready to win with someone else, and the Raptors, with their pedigree and with their history, could win a championship again in a funny but weird way.
Yeah, I said, what a blueprint to success. And Frankie, by the way, the secret sauce of this show, as you know, is the viewer interaction. And Larry in Medicine Hat is watching, and he says the best Jermain Franklin sideline interview was with BC Lions Solomon Elamimian. That came up in the top 10 the other night. I don't know if you were on the desk or not. It was like top 10 awkward sideline interview moments.
Yeah.
What was your side of that? What do you remember about that? And for those that don't know, Solomon Elamimian yipping at one of the Stampeders in Calgary. Tell us the story, Jermain.
So, of course, we got Solomon Elamimian for our halftime interview, and it was very rare. Let me say this because, as you know, Rod, the Stampeders rarely are losing at halftime, and it's usually 99% of the time it's the winning team who gets interviewed going into halftime. This time, the BC Lions, they have the lead, and Solomon Elamimian, we're about to interview him. Fred Bennett starts chirping Elamimian from behind, and Elamimian's like, who are you? Who are you? I don't even know who you are, you know? And then he kept on, and they were chirping back and forth. Of course, you see me looking back and forth. Fred Bennett is not in the picture, so nobody knows who Solly is yelling at. And then all of a sudden, right out of the blue, he just goes, "What's up?" just to start the interview. And it's like, okay, I'm back. Okay, because it was like I didn't exist for about 30 to 40 seconds there. And now all of a sudden he's like, all right, let's go.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I was watching it live at the time, of course, and then the highlight, and that just you're like a traffic cop is what you look like. But, you know, I haven't talked to you about this, but I talked to Sarah Orlesky about this, and I've done sideline reporting. That was the first thing I ever did in the CFL. I interviewed John Candy in 1991, Riders Argos at Taylor Field. Cool. Hardest job to do, I believe, in this business. It's not easy. You know, and what people think that it is. But, Jermain, what are the hard parts of that?
The hard parts for me, especially early on in my career, it was being able to organize my thoughts quickly, succinctly, and then make sure you could spit it out in 30 to 45 seconds because the next play is coming. And that was the toughest part. And then, of course, you have no idea what your interview subject is thinking or what mood they're in. And I've been blown off a few times. I've had answers that are like, what is going on? Did he even hear my question? But yeah, there's so many moving parts when you're a sideline reporter, and you got to keep an eye on the play, of course, so you know what's going on. But of course, you got to keep an eye on what's going on the sidelines. Injuries, whether there's arguments between players and coaches. And the crazy thing is out west is the teams are not on the same sideline. If you go most of out east, like the Tim Box or whatever it's called, Tim Hortons Field, the teams are on the same sideline. Same with BMO Field. But when you're in McMahon, you got to run back and forth it's 80 yards wide. You got to run around the field to get both sidelines. It's crazy, but it keeps you in shape. And those are some of the crazy things that I had to adjust to first. I know. Foremost.
That's why I wanted you to say it, because people wouldn't understand. It's stressful. And I did it for a couple of years, and I'm like, this isn't for me. Find me something else. I don't like it. Because, of course, those trainers are looking at you like, what are you looking at? What are you going to report? All of that. I'm like, this is just not for me. Are you going to get out and do any sidelines, by the way, because you have a vast experience at it, or are you going to stay primped and on the desk and not have to go out on the front lines anymore?
Well, I'm a poodle now, so I'm going to be primped and whatever. But honestly, whenever they need or whatever they need out here, I will definitely help with the sidelines if they need it. And I told them that as well, because like you said, it's not an easy job. Matthew Shinetti has been doing an outstanding job of it out at East, but it's almost like he's been alone for a little while. So he might need a little tag team action, need a little help in Ottawa or Toronto or Hamilton one of these weekends. Hopefully, if we get everything under control. Can't forget the world we're in right now. But if you look optimistically and positively, let's have a season this year, and I'll be more than willing to help. That's for sure.
Awesome. Well, we would like to see on the sidelines again for sure. And my bold prediction today is that they will be playing in 2021. They're going to find a way, but it's not going to be with fans, obviously. Lastly, Jermain, we're not even a week into the NHL regular season. It's been awesome. Kind of feels like it's been going for a month, though, because people have already made their generalizations on the teams, right? Oilers are done. Leafs are number one. The usual. What's been your take on the first 5-6 nights?
I think it's been great because we've been seeing more goals. And of course, with that special interest, keeping an eye on the Flames from afar. I like the moves that they made, and you're starting to see them shape into the team that Brad Treliving probably wanted them to be, just a little bit more each year. So, of course, Markstrom, the goaltending is the key, and he has been outstanding in their wins. No surprise that he came up big against his former team who wouldn't pay him, and they're going to pay for that in Vancouver for sure. And, of course, Tanev, another Canuck who comes over. TJ Brody is gone, and he looks okay with the Leafs. He's had a rough game and an average game, but Brody, I know him, covering him for so many years. He's going to be very good for the blue and white. But that being said, back to my original point, Tanev now with the Flames, he adds that element of grit that perhaps was not naturally there on the blue line. And I think that's going to be a big step forward, especially with Elias Lindholm now at center ice. They have a number one that they can truly trust who can play in both ends of the rink. That's not to be a shot at Sean Monahan, but he's just not that talented when it comes to that grit element and playing in his own defensive zone. So now Elias Lindholm looks like he's spelled that off full time as a number one centerman who can do it all. And I think the Flames are going to look really good. And NHL overall, it's great to see. I am not sad to see Edmonton struggle a little bit. Go Canadians as they swept them out. Yeah, I'm excited. The NHL is back. Like, let's go, Rod.
And we are going. And I say every single night's like a heavyweight bout, prize fight until the next night. Tonight it's Jets Ottawa. Last night it was Jets Leaf, Oilers Habs, Flames Canucks. It's awesome. I cannot get enough. Well, Frankie, this has been awesome. I tell you what, we had some side-splitting moments here. Doesn't it feel good to laugh? Like physically good?
Oh, absolutely. It's the best medicine. It is the best medicine to laugh, smile, and talk to people that you like, respect, and know. And I appreciate you having me on the show for sure.
As always, and thanks for the kind words about the show, Jermain. They've got back to me. I appreciate it. So we're watching every day, as you know. Stay safe, and until the next time. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Jermain Franklin joining us from Calgary, now of the TSN SportsCentre desk. But man, see, you're seeing the Jermain you wouldn't normally see there, right?
That's what's so great about having these conversations.
Right. Just going deep on the Flames, and he's obviously always going to be a dyed-in-the-wool Flames fan.
How come we're not leading with the Flames coverage?
That's probably what he's saying in there, right?
That's what he said.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.